It may be sold out, but we got your only way in. Verizon's Fan Fest for the ultimate big game watch party in Minneapolis. Meet Vikings legend Steve Hutchinson. Enjoy live music, great food, and interactive games, all while taking in the big game on the big screen at Target Center. Enter for your chance to win now at KFAN.com keyword contest. That's KFAN.com keyword contest.
You're really going to have to let your imagination run wild here, Mark Rosen. But let's just say, for argument's sake, the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings were in New Orleans for the big game. They'd qualified, right? Would you be going to work, or would you be going along with Karn just to enjoy the game and sit in the owner's suite?
Oh, I would probably. Well, I'm sure I'd have some responsibilities for Fox 9.
Okay,
and potentially probably here a little bit. That's a good question, because Karn would be real busy with all the, the clients, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I don't know how much we'd see. So we talked about it briefly, but of course, until it got close, there was no sense.
So my guess is she would be glad handing with the clients. You just be over in the corner having chips and dip, enjoying yourself.
That's kind of what I did in London. I mean,
And she'd look back and go, "There's my husband Mark," and you would just wave like this. I'm here.
Wave, and I'm over here, and you'd be I spent plenty of time in New Orleans with some of the big games. Obviously, everyone recalls what happened, unfortunately, in 2009. But New Orleans is one of those cities that is so good at hosting big events. I know there's been a discussion among this comes up all the time. Should they just rotate the Super Bowl, the big game, between New Orleans, Miami, Phoenix, I don't know, Vegas, and then every so often throw a bone to Detroit, or, you know what I mean? Because those other cities are so good at and so used to hosting it. I don't think it'll ever happen that way, because there's so much money involved for that particular city that gets to host it. Now, again, as far as cold weather games go, I don't see it ever going back outside again in a situation. But, I don't know.
Yeah, when it was here back in whatever year that was, 2017?
Yeah, it'd be 2018, I think.
2018. Right? It was... I remember going. I took Deuce down to,
the mall?
No, it wasn't at the mall. It was at the convention center. Was hosting the NFL Experience, or whatever they called it. It was kind of fun. It was cool, but it's like getting to the car and getting to the convention center were two different things, because it was cold. But I do remember there's still a good turnout. There was a lot of out-of-towners. I think a lot of would have rather had been in Florida than in Minneapolis, but I think it went well here. I don't think other than the weather, I don't think there were many complaints about how
it was
Minneapolis
really well
did it as a host city.
But imagine, again, close your eyes and rub your temples and imagine if the big game had been here this Sunday and they're expecting, 10 inches of snow here on Saturday. That would have been something.
Or imagine if it was the 16 below we're supposed to get on Tuesday morning.
Oh, yeah.
That would be just miserable.
Yeah, people would be miserable. It was, but I get that, the whole point, because, New Orleans has kind of got it down by now. They've hosted so many big events there beyond the Super Bowl. It's always a good choice.
I feel like, the Vikings let us down, because we'd be there right now, and Tennessee and I would have just gotten off the, TPC of Louisiana, playing a little bit of golf, and we'd be with you, and we'd be there and
hanging out.
But actually, the other guy who needs to be blamed is Chad Abbott.
How's that?
Well, we could be at Radio Row right now.
Could be.
Just think, instead of you, I could be with Gene Steratore.
I heard you talking about that earlier.
Sorry about that. I cheap shotted you. But you come to expect nothing less, though, right?
Well, I mean, of course. Yeah. Gene Steratore. Those penetrating questions about instant replay and the future of it. Yeah, it
was a good cheap shot. I said we could have Gene Steratore. We could have had Jeff Saturday on a Thursday. And we could have had Amon Green, yet I'm stuck with Mark Rosen.
I see our old pal Rick Spielman's back in the NFL.
Someone sent that to me in a text. I did not see the story. Is he general manager of the Jets?
No. He's back with the Jets, but he says, in his quotes, I'm not going to be in the decision-making room. I'm going to be advising.
There's a sigh of relief all across New York.
Well, New York's such a mess anyway, that Jets franchise. He's been part of this consulting firm for quite a while now. But it sounds like he's going to be working more remote than he is actually with the Jets organization.
What a great gig. Just being a consultant.
How about that? Yeah. I mean, So when it comes to free agents or draft day stuff, he said, I don't want any part of it. And I think a lot of people are going, thank God. I like Rick. I mean,
you know what? He's really good at what he does.
He's been better drafting than the current guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, did a pretty good job.
Drafted Justin Jefferson last time I checked.
He did. But, those guys can't stay away very long. The Jets need all the help they can get. They are a mess.
I've always wanted to be, I think you really made it in your line of work when you become a consultant. You're so smart. But you can't tie me down to any one team or organization.
All-encompassing.
You consult on them.
Yeah.
Do a little of this, a little of that with the emphasis on the line, then get back to me. It's a pretty good gig.
It's like they have...
have you thought of doing television consulting?
Well, it's funny because...
You're doing it.
Well, yes and no. Not really. But there's always a big media consultant. We didn't have that. Now, Frank Maggot was tied in with the Hubbard family over at KSTP for many years. And his company not only consulted, but they did talent searches and everything else. When Dave Moore was in his heyday, they tried to get him out of town. They'll send tapes out. Much so, it's sort of like we want to do everything we can. Much the way that I think our people did that with majors. I don't know, maybe both majors. I don't know, Paul and Ron, but you hope that someone's going to take a nibble and sign them to a big free agent contract.
Take them out of your market.
Yeah, get them out of your market. Yeah. But we didn't have we had a company, I shouldn't say that, but it was mostly individuals that would come in and work with us at times. And I think it's like you have a swing coach, you have a whatever. And I always welcomed it. I didn't have to meet with them too often, but I thought, man, of course, if you can tell me little tips on how to do things better, I'm all ears, of course.
I've also always, and this is probably too, it's the word I'm looking for, it's just too broad-based, that there might be, I guess what I was going to try to say is I've often thought of consultants as people that they weren't really good at what they did. No. So they weren't good on the air. So they went into the consulting business and tell you how to be good. And you want to go, well, wait a minute.
How did you, what's your experience?
I held a job for a little while. So again, but
that's kind of the same of any coaches in any sport, though. The vast majority of coaches weren't like elite athletes at that playing level.
That's a very good point. Maybe I should apply for a coaching job.
KOC was just a backup quarterback who didn't hang in the league too long.
And now he's a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, then maybe instead of hiring a coach, just hire a consulting firm. Be a lot cheaper.
Have them coach the game?
Well, you have to give. What do we just give KOC $15 million a year?
Probably.
Consulting firm will probably tell you what to do for about $2.5 million.
Yeah. Just wire in the plays.
We'll just tell you how to do it, and then you just have a
right.
Anybody call them at that point. It's the scripts there. Just call in.
Yeah.
65 toss power trap, and then run 65 toss power trap.
You got 15 seconds.
So it would have been nice. Radio Row, though. It's like Abbott says that he's talked to several other stations in the air chain. They're going, why aren't you guys there? God, it's so much fun. It's like, to be honest, maybe PA would want to be there. I don't think Big Ticket has any. Maybe I shouldn't speak for him. I know I don't. I'd rather just stay here. I don't want to go all the way to New Orleans. I'd like to play golf, joking aside, but being on Radio Row, it's just me.
Covered enough of those Super Bowls to understand what a cattle call it is.
Yeah.
And it's even gotten bigger. They had the media night. Never used to have a whole night dedicated to it. Certainly didn't have the NFL Network in existence at that time. But, the media people just they're like cattle. You get ushered in over here. You got to walk over here.
Yeah, well, and then on Radio Row, there's a lot of guests available, right? But they're all tied in with a product.
Correct.
So you might get a guy who's tied in with the Pepsi company. So you go, hey, Mark, so you played in that big game back in 20, and you go, well, it was really exciting. It was great, a lot of highs and lows. But now tell us about Pepsi.
Yeah,
well, exactly. And then you do that, and then you do half your thing is to pitch, and then you move on. And we all love advertising. You and I think it's the greatest thing in the world. But after a while, just interviewing those guys one after another, and most of them don't have a lot of insight to offer. Anyways, they're just talking about the old days. And speaking of the old days, I think you and I like to do that a little bit. Remember the Vikings when they were in big games? They didn't do the big media stuff back then, though, did they? Like they do now?
I never covered one, but it's been since 1976. Right. But no, they did not. I think they had the coaches would have when I remember going to the NFC Championship game. They'd have, Bud Grant would talk and Chuck Knox would talk and whomever, what coach would be here.
Wouldn't that be
maybe a player, maybe Fran Tarkenton or something, but no, they didn't have a media
like now,
day. No.
Where they'll be inside the stadium and there'll be a high top table, hundreds of them with every player there getting interviewed, or most players. So.
And ask them the most ridiculous questions.
Downtown Julie Brown.
Yeah, God, yeah.
We'll take a break and come back to him. He's got a keyword for us as we head to our first break of the hour.
The Fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword pay at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is pay. Enter now at KFAN.com. Wednesdays, sponsored by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. They're here all season long. Listen every Wednesday through March for your chance to win tickets. I'm Comedy's 10 to me, Mark Rosen here as well. Your Wolves Club convincing win over Chicago, jumped out to a huge lead.
Right.
Then became bored and disinterested, started to twiddle their thumbs and dog it a little bit. And then Chicago woke them up a little bit and said, hey, this game ain't over yet. And then Ant came out and he was splendid in the third quarter. He goes off for 49, and the Wolves win a comfortable one over the Bulls. Your thoughts?
Well, a combination. I mean, the Bulls end up taking like a 5 or 6 point lead. In fact, they came all the way back from that deficit, which is not unusual if you watch the NBA. I don't know, a couple observations. Obviously, Ant was feeling healthy again, played 37 minutes. I know he's only 23 years old, but he exerted a lot of energy trying to get the big 5-0 last night, late in the game with driving to the hoop. Ball going in and out, missed a free throw or two. His teammates, and finally Chris Finch said that's enough because they got to play again tonight against a really good Houston team. And a couple other things. The injuries, I think now to Randall and DiVincenzo are really going to be catching up with them. I think it's hard for them to overcome them on a consistent basis. I mean, we saw Luka Garza last night get exposed defensively. He only played 7 minutes. They had to get him out of there because he couldn't guard the guy. Jaden Clark continues to get more minutes.
I've had my eye on him for a while now.
That's my line.
Oh.
And he's playing well. He's a big, strong kid. He's aggressive. He can shoot the ball as well. I made a couple field goals last night. Dillingham, he hit and miss with the shooting, but he puts a lot of energy into the team. And they even got their old Terrence Shannon got a minute of playing time in garbage time late last night, and I know that Finch has said that he's about ready to play a little bit more. So the blessing is some of these younger guys are getting more playing time, but it's still going to be a while through the All-Star break, and who knows when.
Do you think we're in trouble?
Well, in trouble in what way?
Getting a high seed.
Getting a high seed, yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to get a top 4 seed. I think they'll probably end up 6-7 somewhere in there.
Huh.
I just think it's going to be really tough to sustain things without having two key elements of that trade, and both of them are playing their best basketball since coming to Minnesota. Randall in particular, I've been shaking my head at him many times, going, "What is he doing out there?" And then all of a sudden, he started clicking a little bit more and Gobert played real well last night. So I mean, I think it's just it's going to be a struggle no matter who they're playing. We've seen that. I mean, even when they get down a guy or two, they lost to Washington here on Saturday.
Sounds like you're a little down on this club.
No, I'm just being realistic. I think that they have to be. They got to get the most out of their 5 start. And now Naz Reid is obviously getting a chance to start, and he's contributing and rebounding well. but they don't. Their bench is, Nikhil Alexander-Walker plays well. I think it's Walker, it's Clark, it's Dillingham, and Garza. I think against certain opponents, Finch will be able to match him up because he's got some offensive skills in particular. But man, he can be a liability. He works hard, works his butt off all the time. So I just think seeing what the other teams have done to improve themselves, I don't think there's anybody you kind of go, oh my God, we can't compete with those guys. Obviously, everybody's going to have their eye on the Lakers right now. Doncic is making his debut with L.A. on Saturday afternoon in L.A. against an Indiana team they'll probably beat by 20 or something. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun coming down the finish line. But I think until Randall and DiVincenzo get back, it's hard to talk about what this Timberwolves team is really going to look like come April.
Just think if we had Bodega Cat, what we'd look like right now.
He's playing pretty well.
Yeah. Really was. He got named to the All-Star team.
Yeah, well, he is. He's been an All-Star here.
Is Randall in the All-Star game?
No.
DiVincenzo?
No.
And?
Yes.
But he's a bench. He's a backup.
Yeah.
Bodega Cat starting. One of 10 players in the NBA that say you are good enough that you are starting our All-Star game.
Yeah. Quite a compliment.
They call him Bodega Cat.
You call him that.
Everybody calls him that. There are T-shirts that you can find online.
Can you really?
Bodega Cat. Right. Yeah, I'm going to get one.
I miss him.
That and my Curious George passed out after sniffing the ether. Those are my two T-shirts I have.
Sniffing the ether.
Who do you, either tomorrow?
What's that now?
Either tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Or Monday. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to know by all reports of who will be the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Will Glenn Taylor continue to own the club as he has for many years now? Or will it change hands and will Peter Lorre and Alex Rodriguez get the club? What do you think?
You can't read the tea leaves. I don't know how you can unless you're in the room. In the room, as Alexander Hamilton, in the room where it happens, I don't know how you can read the tea leaves to understand what would happen. I will just say this. Glenn Taylor's not used to losing. And when it comes to off the court, he's lost a lot on the court. So before you send all the text messages and emails, I understand that. That he still wields a lot of power. I don't know. It's all about the interpretation of did Lorre and A-Rod and friends, and now they got Bloomberg involved with it. And he's got more money than, he could burn up 4 or 5 franchises.
We've done a good job doing that ourselves here, burning franchises.
We have. I don't know how to read it. I think the public wants the changing face. They want A-Rod and Lorre, I think, because it's something new, it's something fresh. We've watched Glenn for decades now, and I think generally speaking, that's the rule of thumb that people would like to have a little change, much the way that we're going to see something different with the Minnesota Twins after the Pohlads family has held them since buying the team going back to '84 from Calvin Griffith. I think that's the sentiment is that. Now, how realistic it is, I don't know. It's all about. That's what those guys get paid the big bucks for. I don't know how to read into it. Anyone I've talked to kind of looks at me the same way, going, Glenn doesn't lose very much when it comes to court cases or anything with the legal world. So I put my money on him. But again, I have no idea.
The 3 arbitrators are Kathleen Blatz, Tom Frazier, Joseph R. Slights. Not Joseph R. Slights the first, the second, but the third.
Kathleen Blatz used to be married to Wheelock Whitney. I think
she was named an associate justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court in 1996.
Right.
Was appointed by Chief Justice by Arnie Carlson in 1998.
A delightful lady.
She was the first female Chief Justice in state history, served in that role until retiring in 2006. Mm-hmm. Frazier served as a Hennepin County District Court judge from 2013 to 2021 after being appointed by Governor Mark Dayton. He's also worked in the Solicitor General and Tort Claims divisions of the Minnesota Attorney General's office. Slights III has a prestigious legal resume out of Delaware, which is the epicenter of business and corporation and litigation in the country. He had served as the vice chancellor of the Delaware Court of Chancery and as a Delaware Superior Court judge. Those are the 3 that will make the decision on who gets the club. Frazier was the neutral arbitrator. Blatz was selected by Taylor. Slights was selected by Lorre Rodriguez. Frazier, as the neutral, is from Minnesota, though. So,
and you mentioned earlier it's binding.
Maybe he sides with Minnesota for the hometown. Maybe the hometown rig is in.
I think you're reading way too much into it. I mean, I know because
I was just having fun with it. I don't think he cares.
I know Kathleen Blass, but I'm not going to try to pretend that they're all professionals. This is what they do. They get paid to analyze a case and come up with the best decision. Like everybody else, I'm anxious to see how it's going to happen. I mean, I know that A-Rod and Lori desperately want to get a new arena. How they're going to pay for it, where it's going to go, where the Wolves are going to play. Well, if they tear down the Target Center and build me a new one, like they did, we're going to go through all that again. But it's the oldest arena, I think, in the NBA right now, and it was kind of built on a dime, and they've improved it. They've made improvements to it, but it's just a fact of life. It's going to happen. So I don't know.
If you were a betting man, who do you think wins?
Taylor. Okay. Only because of what I just said, that he doesn't misfire on much of this stuff. So, but again,
in other words, you think he's probably dotted his I's and crossed his T's.
Only because his experience, his vast experience in business and the context of doing business at this level, he's got more of that.
We'll take a break and come back. One more segment to go with the legendary Mark Rosen. Let's do our giveaway. 5-iron golf there. They're in the North Loop at TrackMan Technology. Simulator Golf. I'll be there tonight hosting the grand opening. From 5 until 7, I'll be there. We'll do a closest to the pin contest. Chance to win Wild tickets. To win Wolves tickets. To win a $100 gift card. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of people are going to be there. Hope to see you there from 7 until sometime between 5 and 7. I'll be arriving there shortly before 5. But right now we have a $100 gift card to the 11th caller to 5-iron golf. 1-800-320-5326. 1-800-320-5326. 11th caller wins that gift card from everyone at 5-iron golf and all of us here at the Fan.
Common Man at 5-iron golf in Minneapolis this evening.
Common Man.
Join the official, unofficial ambassador of Minnesota Golf at 5-iron's newest location in North Loop from 5 to 7 p.m. Check out their simulators where you can play iconic courses, enjoy chef-inspired dishes, craft cocktails, and enter to win great prizes in a Closest to the Pin challenge. RSVP now for this free event at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Now, I want to ask you, by the way, as we know, sports never sleeps, nor does Johnny Krasinski of The Athletic. Teneby, did you say Johnny Krasinski had a tweet that might be of interest to us?
It might be of interest and it might not be of interest.
Okay.
But the fact that he wrote it, I always feel like when a reporter writes this, there might be something to it.
Okay.
He wrote, have seen a lot, and LOT is in capital letters, have seen a lot of chatter online about an arbitration decision in favor of Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez. Have checked with both sides, and the decision has not been revealed to either party yet. It is expected Friday or Monday. My gut says Monday, but we will see.
A lot of people are saying Peter Lowry and...
Yeah, I've seen that. Again, when you look at social media, and
so you think your money's on Glenn Taylor, though?
Only based on
what does Karn think? She's in legal circles. Don't pretend.
I know that she is. She knows it's happening. That's the extent of it. She got her hands full right now.
I guess she's on a first name basis with at least two of those people, Kathleen.
I don't know. I think we all know Kathleen, but she got her hands full enough over there at TCO with contracts coming up, and plenty to do. There's plenty happening. Plenty of stuff going by her desk. It's interesting that Aaron Gleeman just tweeted out, amazingly, the Twins were more active than the Timberwolves during the NBA trade deadline week. Not a bad line.
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is this possible?
Okay.
Let's say the arbitrators rule in favor of Laurie and Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Still, the owners have to approve the sale, right?
Oh, absolutely. The board of governors have to approve it.
So the owners could say no. And so then it doesn't matter. Well, they could, though.
They could, but they better have some real strong basis for doing it.
Well, maybe they do.
They can't just because they have an opinion that they like Glenn Taylor more than Mark Laurie. I mean, you have to have...
You do?
I mean, they're going to have, obviously, the proof to saying, we have all the money. We said we had all the money. Just because we didn't make the deposit in Glenn's bank doesn't mean that that whole discussion which went on and on and on. I'm sure they'll have a very complex explanation for everything that's going on, but I mean, it's like you said earlier, it's a binding decision. There's no more like, well, I'm going to appeal this and we're going to go up to another court or whatever it might be. No, this is it. Thankfully. A long wait.
I wouldn't be so sure, Mark.
About what?
The ownership group would say we don't like Laurie and A-Rod. We don't think they have the money.
We've had situations here where, remember when Tom Clancy bought the Vikings?
Mm-hmm, I certainly do.
I remember him being down at our TV station where we had no smoking. He was smoking like a...
And you were convinced he was going to be the owner of the Vikings?
Well, everybody was. He held up the paper and goes, I got him. And then they found out, he has an ex-wife that's due about $6 billion in alimony. I guess I don't have the money. So, I mean, yeah, there's ways of the Board of Governors looking at it, but they're not from an opinion standpoint. They have to look at it from a factual standpoint, and they can't go, well, A-Rod cheated in baseball, so we're not going to give him the team. None of that. No. I mean, it's all based on economics.
So you think they're going to rubber stamp it?
Well, I think I'd be surprised if they don't go ahead with whatever the arbiters decide. Yeah, I would be. But, I don't know all the specifications of what they look at for the criteria, ultimately making that call. But, yeah, I think they'd probably go along with it.
I'd mentioned last week that when technology got too much for me, it was with the invention of the microwave.
I heard you say
I think it might actually be the TV remote. I can't get anything
on there. How'd you get on Roku now?
I'm trying to get the Andy Griffith Show on. It won't let me get Andy Griffith.
Oh, my God.
Now it's got me wanting to know if I want to watch Gladiator or Forrest Gump. No.
I thought you put the Phoenix Open on or something. Well,
I was looking around, but I don't know.
Well, you're on the wrong network.
I don't know how to operate this. There's two remotes in here.
Right.
There's two.
Yes, I'd say you're holding them up.
And I don't, this one is, I don't know,
it's complicated sometimes. You get it home and you go.
It's really complicated.
You have all these apps and it's like Apple TV and Hulu and Peacock.
I've got a plug-in for something called Fire Stick, and Fire Stick will give me everything.
Oh,
and then half the time I plug it into the wrong, there's the male-female plug.
Right.
Some people still have trouble with the male-female plug, but.
That's a whole other story.
And I'll plug it out, so I then have to have Potato come over and get it going. Right, if my boys aren't home, here's what they'll do.
Yeah, you're messed up. So
I got the 55-inch Toshiba Regza down in the man grotto, right? Mm-hmm. So Deuce will be down there with his buddies. They'll switch it over to play video games,
and then they won't switch it back.
Never switch it back. So I turn it on. There's nothing, and I don't know what to plug or unplug or plug in. So then I got to call him in.
Right.
And Potato has to come because he can't walk me through it. She has to call, and hopefully she now knows how to do it. But she has to call, dude, and I just said, dude, why can't you just put it back when you're done?
I miss the days when the VCRs first came out and you could actually put a tape in the machine and you could watch one channel and record another one. And it would work like a charm all the time. Now it's, game on. Good luck. The Andy Griffith.
And I can't get Andy Griffith.
Well, which episode was?
This was, I don't know which one it was, and then I can't even get out of. Look at now, it's got Pluto TV. What is Pluto TV?
Free movies.
I live on planet Earth, not Pluto. I don't need what they're watching on Pluto.
New year, new binges. Catch Gladiator, Forrest Gump, and more. Forrest Gump.
It won't exit.
What year is this?
I'm just going to turn it off.
Just turn it. Yeah,
I'm just going to turn it off. Yes, I want to shut down.
He did that.
I don't want to turn it off, I guess. That was just by accident.
Never like an Elton John moment over there.
Yeah, it was.
Let's wait till the Twins season starts. We got to figure out how we're going to get that going. Let's sign up for that.
Are you tighter with Glenn or A-Rod? Does it benefit
I've
you?
known Glenn longer.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I've had a good relationship with Glenn, but I disagree with a lot of stuff. I told him to his face. I've just met A-Rod, obviously, the last few years. I didn't, I interviewed him once as a ball player, but that's, that was about it. And he's been really friendly, and I haven't talked to Lori very much. I've spent most of the time talking to A-Rod.
There's that famous picture of you sitting courtside with A-Rod.
Yeah, that's true.
It's out there. I've seen it.
It's there.
It's famous.
Yeah, with his gal. And his I don't know what her title is, administrative assistant or whatever. She runs his, the business side of his operation.
She was there.
Yeah. I got her number. Who would have thunk it?
Who would have think
A-Rod.
the legendary Mark Rosen?
Well, I don't know. I just I wish these guys well. It's hard to figure out. I mean, I think the big thing is Tim Connolly is here, and that's that Glenn had to sign off on that, even though A-Rod and Lori pushed it. It's still Glenn's money right now. Dog eat dog world, but the arena is going to be the big one. That's going to be the big thing coming up.
Trade deadline is come and gone about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, right.
We've heard nothing, so I'm assuming that.
No, the Wolves are done. They're not doing anything, and I don't think that's a surprise. Their hand. I mean, whatever thought the possibility of Julius Randle being traded, I think the injury, of course, put a damper on that, and they got to move forward. And there's still opportunities to move players later on before the summer. But those are the two guys that the two key elements they got in the Bodega Cat trade, and they've got to play at a high level. And without them, they're not going to go very far. So they got to get both those guys back healthy.
I'm about to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
NBA trade deadline here in the Central Time Zone was 2:00.
Correct.
Eastern Time Zone was 3. Why did they get an extra hour in the trade deadline? On the East,
always
is it
love
East
Boy,
Coast
it's a
bias?
penetrating question.
Is it East Coast bias?
I must be. And it's not even, whatever, it's 1:00 out, 1:45 out in the West Coast. So I'm sure
It's
you're
not right.
No.
Why would they get an extra hour? Doesn't make any sense. My guy Jimmy Butler said he wouldn't go to Golden State because he wasn't interested in signing an extension.
Right.
But then when push came to shove, it looked like it was about the only place he was going to go, and he wanted out, and Miami didn't want him anymore.
Right.
So he agreed to an extension. Of course, he could always say, I'm not coming back later, but he has now joined the Golden State Warriors. I think that puts Golden State, I think that puts him in a good position. If Jimmy's got anything left, and I think he does.
Oh, he's got something left, of course.
I think that makes that team dangerous. I think they're dangerous.
Yeah, but they're not a threat.
I don't know.
No, the Lakers are more of a
You
threat.
go ahead and you can write off Jimmy Buckets and Steph
Jimmy
Curry.
Buckets, if he's motivated, but I know listening to Steve Kerr, he was saying a lot of really nice things about our guy Andrew Wiggins, who went in the trade, and I felt like he grew up around a lot. He said we would not have won our last championship without Andrew Wiggins, which is true. But now you got Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. How many technical fouls are they going to accumulate in that?
I think that's a good pairing.
It's certainly must-see TV.
Those guys will get along. That's going to be that team is going to be really good. That team is going to threaten to get to the Western Conference.
Oh, no,
Finals.
they're not.
Timmy?
No, they're not. No, what do you mean threaten to get to? What does that mean? Win a playoff series? Are you going to tell me they are going to be in the Western Conference Finals? You got to be more specific.
Yeah, I think they're going to get to the Western Conference Final.
Okay, name your price.
Be like $3.
Oh, it's going to go maybe $8. What do we got? A $9 bet on the Super Bowl? I got the.
We were supposed to do spread spin today, weren't we?
I thought it was 8 and a quarter.
I don't know. What Power Bets has
Deuce
it?
won.
Yeah.
Deuce won.
He wasn't going to.
It was outrageous.
No,
He was outrageous because I took the opposite. He did in the two.
I saw. Speaking of the big game, if you get back to me on that, if you want to make a wager on that, of all the writers covering the big game, I think the breakdown was 41, 42 picked the Chiefs and 27 picked the Eagles, which is kind of with the flow of what we're seeing right now. That despite. And then there's a flu bug going through the Eagles.
Is there really?
Yeah. What's the defensive lineman's name? The big Carter. Is it Carter? Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen Carter.
Yeah, he's been really sick, and there's concern that it's it is. You get a locker room situation, and even if you're in a household, it can go like wildfire. So they're not saying that he's out for the game, but I'm sure that he's probably far from 100% right now, and other people have been sick. So I don't think it's going to affect the line at the moment, but boy, that would affect what Philadelphia wants to do defensively.
Yeah.
He's a monster. So, yeah, it's too bad. You want everybody healthy for that game. From a spectator standpoint, you want to see the best players playing in the biggest game.
I saw a couple of people after the Butler trade to Golden State, boy, how are they going to handle that with him and Draymond together, like you mentioned? Right. And it's like, well, not only has Kerr already coached Draymond, he played with Dennis Rodman. So there's not much out there I think Steve Kerr's seen everything, and I think he's going to be just fine. If anybody could handle that, I would say it'd be Steve Kerr would be able to handle that.
And I don't think, Butler's going to put it, I think he'll play as hard as he can, can play and try to prove that he's still got, obviously, a lot of quality basketball left. And the personalities just add more to the scope of watching NBA. There used to be the bad boys, in Detroit, and you mentioned other teams as well that, there's all big personalities on them. And now it's Golden State with a much different look. Think of how that complexion of that championship run has changed in the last year or two, in particular.
Vikings lost their assistant quarterback coach, Grant Udinsky. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. Was it Carolina or Jacksonville?
Jacksonville.
What if he was the real quarterback whisperer?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've never met the young man. He's only 29 years old. Think about that. And I know he lived in his car for a while when he was coaching college football, one of those stories. But I do know for a fact that he had a big voice in that quarterback room.
Really?
Yeah, with Sam Darnold. Yes, he did. And, Josh McCown's there, and obviously KOC is the maestro.
Is he?
Well, yeah.
Maybe Udinsky was the quarterback.
Well, but he spent, KOC's job is to be the head coach. He's got to be everywhere.
Right.
But Udinsky was in that room, and obviously, JJ was there, at least, doing his homework and scouts and all the rest of the stuff. But Udinsky was one of those guys that was an up-and-comer. But, you're bound to lose a really good coach, young coach here and there. And Wes Phillips is still there. They like him a lot. But, yeah, I'm happy for Udinsky because he's not a guy who got a lot of play this past year. But he was really instrumental in Sam Darnold's success. And so, good luck to him. He had a good opportunity. Detroit's lost.
I also feel bad, though, when he gets an offensive coordinator job, but he's not calling plays.
Yeah, I know.
Those guys are never going to get the recognition.
No. And he'll get that chance at some point. And who knows? He could end up, the way Jacksonville's franchise going, he could end up coming back here or going somewhere else. In another couple of years. They're a mess down there. So, but good luck to him. He deserves it.
You've got a speaking engagement here coming up, right?
Tonight.
Yep.
When you're at your golf event.
Yep.
I'll be right across the street here at the hotel. From my friends at Merrill Lynch. Yep.
Can you see if you can get, peck around and see if you can get baby brother Peter an internship at Merrill Lynch?
I'll drop a line.
See what you can do for me.
Yeah. He's got
that's how this world works.
Resume.
You got to know a guy who knows a guy.
Well, that's the way the world works.
So just go up to the Merrill Lynch and say, hey, you're in banking? I know a guy. And then pass along my boy's name.
Rosie, can you get me a broadcasting job somewhere?
Wow. You see Common's look on his face?
You got lots of connections in broadcasting, right?
I do.
Okay.
In town? You want to stay in town? You have to.
Ideally, that would be nice.
Yeah, you get your kids and you got your
it's going to be hard to move that family.
Oh, you don't move the dog. Of course not. Wow.
So how do you start your speech? 7 years ago?
I got an idea based on the location where I'm going to be tonight, which is right across the street. I have a history of what that place was. And
right.
the way I grew up. And the ballpark and the whole thing, Cooper Theater, Yeah, so I'll talk about that a little bit, then segue into a bunch of other stuff.
How about you started out with, you'll like this, ask not what Mark Rosen can do for you, but what can you do for Mark Rosen, Maryland? They'll like that.
I used to start going, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, pleasure to be anywhere where Sid Hartman isn't.
Wow.
And then, but now...
You can't use that line anymore.
Can't do that anymore, no.
I always start out, how many people have listened to KFAN radio before clap your hands? How many people wish they'd never listened to KFAN radio before clap your hands?
Maybe I'll steal that too.
That gets a lot of laughs.
Hey, I won't see you for a few days. I'm heading out to
You're predicting Philadelphia?
I'm taking Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to change my mind now.
Very good. We'll talk to you next week.
Next Wednesday.
Wednesday. You're out of town for a couple of days. Yep. Tenby, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon. Who's playing Program Password?
Paul Charchian and Kevin Fallness tomorrow.
Sweet. And then, by the way, 5 to 7 tonight, the open house down at 5 Iron Golf with the TrackMan Technology in the North Loop. I'll be there from 5 to 7. Hope to see you there. Big Ticket JG there next.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.